we talked about Jalen Green for a little bit, and the Rockets right now, they're historically bad right now. They're 1-14. 12 of their losses have been by double digits, on pace to finish the season 5-77, which will be by far the worst single season record of all time. In 2011-2012, the 7-59 Bobcats were 3-12 in their first 15 games, which is better than the Rockets. In 2009-2010, the 12-70 Nets started out 0-18. So they were much worse. And in 2015 and 2016, the Sixers, the tanking Sixers, started out 0-18 as well.
Oh,
so
Lord.
the Rockets, even though they're on a historically bad pace, this isn't the worst start that we've seen. But what do you think about Houston? I mean, before the season, we weren't even high on them. We thought they were going to be this bad. They've kind of been even a bit more worse than I thought they were going to be.
Definitely worse.
But what do you think is what's Houston's problem right now? Or problems?
It's hard to assess a problem when a team's in rebuild. I think they're supposed to be losing games, right? They're supposed to come out and lose as many games, get on the Paola bandwagon, the Chet Holmgren bandwagon. We want these guys. We're going to lose. But it looks like they go out there and they legit try to win. It's just a lot of they let's start from the coaching.
Not that talented.
The coaching aspect, I think Steven Silas is still, he's still learning his ways, and he's still trying to figure out the coaching. He's made some lineup in my opinion, he's made some questionable lineup changes. He puts in rotations that don't make sense in my mind. He plays guys a little bit too much more than they need to be playing. At the same time, management I think they need to go all in on this young group and need to trade guys like Daniel House, Eric Gordon, hopefully get John Wall, just pay that man the bread and put him in free agency. David Nwaba, he really shouldn't play a single minute. He's really bad.
It's a lot of money.
But at the same time, looking at the young guys, KPJ, Jalen Green, Sengun has been really good. I wasn't too high on him being a star or nothing like that, but he's been one of their positive bright spots in Houston. He's been really good. He's been solid on the defensive end. He's a good passer, so he's been good. Garuba hasn't really been getting much burn as expected. Same with Josh Christopher, but I'm going to zone in on these two guys, Jalen Green and KPJ. Jalen Green, I didn't think was the second best prospect coming out. I thought Evan Mobley was better. I thought Scotty was better long term. I barely even thought he was the best two guard in the class. Obviously, James Buckner got sent to the G League, but Jalen Green, the thing with Jalen Green was they have him at this weird situation where he just spots up, take threes, and then when he does get the ball, he just goes out there because he doesn't get a lot of opportunities. And with KPJ, he's not a real point guard. I know he tweeted, I'm a point guard. I understand he wants to play this role. I understand we had a little small sample size last year that showed us maybe he could be, but I don't think he's a full-time point guard. I think he can do it in spurts, but I don't think he doesn't have the proper vision. He doesn't have the proper IQ. I think he's a two guard that can just play the one for a short time. I don't think he has the intangibles as a point guard to make the proper reads, to make the proper looks, to run situations, to run an offense for a long time. And I think that's what's really hurting them because you got a permanent two permanent two guards realistically, and one guy's playing out of position. With Jalen Green, I don't even think he's that type of two guard that can feed off KPJ because he's a guy that gets his own. He really wants the ball in his hands to make plays for himself because that's the type of two guard he is. And they're both bottom defenders, like Jalen Green isn't a good defender. KBJ really isn't you see the effort, but you're just not a good defender. And I think coming in, Houston, they have a lot of talent, a lot of youth, and it's going to be growing pains early, no doubt. But at the same time, you got to look, at least with Detroit, they look competitive. They for the most part, now that they got their guy, even before Cade got there, they gave us a run for our money in the first two games we played them. And now that their guy is there, they look competitive. So even with OKC, young group, they look competitive. Orlando, they look competitive. San Antonio, like these young teams, really young teams, they look competitive. And even with Houston, they have veterans on their team, and they just don't look good. So they're in a really tough spot. It's still a little bit early; they can figure it out, but they're in a really tough spot, and their rebuild is gonna take. It's gonna take a long time if they don't figure out their situations now.
Just a lot of players on this squad that just are average.
I'm screaming.
I think Christian Wood, obviously, we had a lot of expectation on him, and him only averaging 16 points, that's not something I'm sure that fans expected. His efficiency's down as well. He's in like the similar 40-30% range, which you wanted more from him, especially Rockets fans. I'm assuming they were expecting him to continue on this all-star trend that he was showing a bit last season before he got hurt. But Jalen Green has been so underwhelming to me. I understand he's a rookie and it's going to take time, so I'm not going to be too critical. I still think that he can be a great scorer in this league. But he's struggling right now, and he's having a lot of opportunities to break out of this slump. And we've seen flashes in a pan from him of showing what we thought prior to the draft what he could be. And he's had a 30 ball. He's had a game where he's made over 7 threes. Like, he has these capabilities. It's just we need to see it more on a consistent basis. Now for KPJ. This one's tough for me because I'm a big fan of KPJ. I like his game a lot, but you're 100% right. He's really not a point guard. He's turning the ball over a bunch. He's averaging 4 turnovers a game. Even Jalen Green's turning the ball over a bunch. He's averaging 3 turnovers a game. But KPJ just needs to be more efficient as well, and he just needs to be more consistent in his play. If he's going to be a point guard, be a point guard, but don't have games where you have a one-track mind of wanting to get a bucket. Because obviously we know KPJ has the talent to score. It's just that he's out of position right now, and they need him to be more of a facilitator. Get Christian Wood involved. Get Jalen Green in spots, better spots for him to be put in a position to have success. It's just a lot of guys on this team, and it's one of the few rosters where you have more than 4 or 5 guys averaging double-digit points, but it's not one guy averaging 20-something. Your best player is averaging 16. Your next close, I want to say you have 14, 13, 12, 11. It's just underwhelming because all of these guys' efficiency, no one in this starting lineup is shooting over 50%. I'll give Eric Gordon his credit off the bench. He's been pretty great. He's averaging, I think his 3-point percentage is 45. But he's missed some time. I think he's missed, 3 games, 4 games this early in the season. It's just something's missing for this team. And it's a player that, similar to John Wall, is just going to be able to give them a bucket when they need it. And they don't have that right now.
I think KPJ is a prime example of why you shouldn't buy into players because of a short sample size so quickly. I understand he had some flashes, but KPJ was never a true point guard. We all had hope that he can be that. He was never that efficient, and this year he hasn't been efficient. I think he'll pick up his efficiency. The Rockets are just bad. They don't have much talent on the roster. They don't have a coach that has proven before that he can manage young players and develop. You mentioned Detroit. Dwayne Casey's their coach. He has a track record of developing players. In Toronto, he showed that. So he has that track record. For Houston, I think it starts with their talent. Christian Wood has been underwhelming. From the free throw line, he can't hit anything. And I think his struggles have more to do with not having a point guard. If John Wall was there, he would be way better. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Exactly. And with Harden, he was playing at an all-star level. So he just needs a real point guard, and KPJ isn't that. Jalen Green, I know he's going to have an up and down rookie season. I'm not looking at him too much. I'm not going to blame him too much for this. Eric Gordon has been their best player this year.
Definitely.
And when he started, he's been amazing as well. Eric Gordon is going to be one of those players that's going to get traded in the middle of the year
see him on a winning team.
to a contender, and he's going to give them a big spark. If I'm the Knicks, call up Houston and get Eric Gordon on the squad.
All of us want him.
Look, I'm saying
you don't need him really.
If I'm the Knicks, Houston, I'm giving you Fournier. Give me Gordon.
I think Dallas should call.
Lakers should call.
Dallas would be a great fit
Dallas
for
should
him.
call for
Just
Eric
gonna
Gordon.
ignore the Lakers?
Yes, because you have nothing to give.
What do you mean?
To match his contract, do you know how much he gets paid?
That's true.
Like 16, 17
Yeah,
mil.
bro, he gets
It's a
paid
lot.
money.
It's a lot.
THT will have to go.
If I'm the Knicks, look,
no way.
I'm trying
No
to get
way.
Gordon, but Gordon is a really good player. They have a bottom 5 offense and defense. They don't pass the ball. They're 28th in assists right now. If I'm Houston, no. Trading Gordon is not a solution. This is going to make it worse. But if I'm Houston, I'm telling John Wall, you got to play, bro. And
They're the ones that approached him and said, "Yo, you're good to sit."
And I don't get that because the reason I never got it was because, for one, you're not going to trade John Wall. John Wall's contract is untradeable. The only solution to having John Wall not on your roster is by buying him out. That's it. And if you don't want to buy him out, what's the point of not playing him if you can't trade him? John Wall, we know he's not what he once was, but will he bring veteran leadership to this squad? Yes. Will he bring a stable point guard to this squad? Yes. Will he make them more competitive? Yes. But even with John Wall, that still doesn't ruin their tanking chances. They're still going to be bad. But now you just have Christian Wood playing better. You'll have Jalen Green playing better. How many teams strive for having a true point guard on their team? Right now, I'm looking at the Knicks and I'm like, we need a point guard. Houston has a true point guard that they're paying $44 million a year and telling him to sit out for no apparent reason because you can't trade him. So what's the point of not playing him? It just doesn't make sense.
And I don't even understand the buyout situation because you're not getting any free agents. Nobody wants to go out there. So it's like, and at this point, nobody wants to go play with a bunch of young guys.
The thing with the buyout is he doesn't want the buyout because he wants that full $40 million. That's why they can't come to that agreement in the buyout terms. But in terms of him not playing,
I think he should play.
That's the Rockets, and that makes no sense. He should play.
I think he's at worst, the 19th, 20th starting point guard in the league?
Right now, their starting lineup has been KPJ, Jalen Green, Gordon started last game, and then Christian Wood, Jayshawn Tate. Just start Wall.
I was gonna say Dice has
just have KPJ and Green play the 2 and 3.
You can do
start
that.
Wood and then start Jayshawn Tate at the 4. Like it's not that big of a deal. John Wall's gonna help the development of Green and KPJ
need players like
and
that.
Wall. So it just doesn't make sense.